After years of designing websites and learning from the industry's top experts, I've developed a streamlined web design process that guarantees high quality results, ensures profitability for my business, and provides an organized and stress-free experience for my clients. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my complete step-by-step process for designing and developing a high-performing marketing website that is going to leave your clients absolutely thrilled while also providing you with an efficient framework to get the project done within a reasonable time frame. Also, make sure to stick around throughout the video because I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite AI tools that I am now using in my web design workflow that I estimate is saving me anywhere between 20 to 30 hours per week. So you're definitely not going to want to miss that. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Bailey Canning. I'm an independent marketing strategist based in Denver, Colorado, primarily working on branding and web design and ongoing marketing retainers with my clients. Today's video is going to be all based on my experience spending several years, going on close to a decade, honestly, at this point, designing and developing websites in various capacities. So this all comes from my experience working as an agency employee where I was the lead web designer / developer for a 15-person agency, and over the past several years running my own web design business. Now, before we dive into the process, I want to take a second here just to talk about why the process is important in the first place, especially if you're a more creative-minded person where you just want to get into the fun of designing, which I totally understand. However, the process is important because one, we want to have a repeatable, streamlined process that we can run every client through in order to guarantee high quality results time after time. Secondly, by having a streamlined, repeatable process, you're going to be able to deliver projects to clients faster, which is going to dramatically increase your profitability. Not only will your per project profitability increase, but as you get projects done faster, you'll be able to free up your bandwidth and take on more projects. And then finally, having a streamlined, repeatable process that you run every client through is going to leave not only you, but also your client feeling much more organized. Long story short, it's just going to be a far less stressful experience for the two of you working together. And honestly, who doesn't want that? Finally, whether you are a web designer yourself, a marketing director looking to partner with web designers, or a business owner who's going to be hiring one directly, this video is going to have practical insights you can apply to your project that is going to save you a ton of time, heartache, and stress if you just take the time to watch this video and learn from it. That's the main reason why I'm honestly putting it together. We're going to be covering every single stage of the process, from the research and strategy phase to the design phase, the development phase, the quality assurance and testing phase, to ultimately launching the website. Before we get into that though, we got to take care of the housekeeping. So if you're at all interested in the topics of web design, branding, or digital marketing, then definitely subscribe to my channel because I'm putting out at least one video per week. Earlier this week, the channel crossed 1,000 subscribers, which if you are familiar with YouTube, you know that is like the first milestone you need to hit. I believe it's something like 8% of all YouTube channels hit 1,000 subscribers. As the saying goes, it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. And so that's why I would love for you to subscribe so we can keep growing the channel. If you're interested in the client work I'm taking on, there's going to be case study videos, there's going to be behind the scene vlog style videos, as well as talking head info topic type videos like this one, so you can learn more in your own day-to-day work as a marketing web design professional. With the shameless self-promotion out of the way, now let's get into the video. Let's jump right into it. Let's get into the strategy / research phase. So just as the name suggests, instead of jumping right into the design here, we actually need to take a step back and do the necessary research on your client's business, industry, competitors. And then from all these learnings we will be doing throughout this initial stage here, we're eventually then in the second half of this phase going to pivot into developing an actual strategy for the website. So this way the client is actually going to be able to achieve the goals they set out to achieve by hiring someone like you or your company in the first place. One tip I'm going to give you right from the start here is to have everything organized in a project management system. You can use whatever tool you prefer. I use Basecamp because I find that essentially serves as a project portal/dashboard for my clients. So basically they can log in and get all the information they need there. But you will see I have a template set up for Basecamp. So at the start of every web design project, it takes just a few clicks to get this entire client account set up in Basecamp, where every phase of the project is listed, and then we have all of the different tasks that go within that, so that basically every project becomes a standardized operating procedure. This is huge because when I was first getting started in my business, I was literally doing this from scratch every single time. And it was just a huge cognitive overload just to always be racking my brain at the start of every project to ensure I didn't miss any critical steps. And then even if the project was going smoothly, I was always worried that I had forgotten a huge pivotal step that I was eventually going to realize later, and that was ultimately going to delay the project, which would have been a disaster, obviously, which of course we don't want. So I do recommend, whether it's Asana, ClickUp, or Basecamp, you use a project management system. You sit down, you outline your entire process, and then you create a template so that you can start every project hitting the ground running. You'll notice within this Basecamp task list, I also have an onboarding phase. So this is even before the strategy and research portion actually. But basically you want to have a smooth onboarding process to get your client caught up onto speed of the project, explain how it's going to go, set the communication standards, and just set the correct expectations from the start so that they know how to properly work with you. And by putting your best foot forward in the early going here, they're going to see that you're very organized and that you're very prepared. And then this is going to make them feel comfortable actually listening to you throughout the process. And ultimately, I believe this is going to make them a much better client. Whereas if they don't have this feeling of security from the start, they're going to get very worried. They might become very difficult to work with, and they might honestly try to take over the project, which is a huge red flag, honestly. But let's not even put them in a position from the start to do that. So once you've gotten the project set up in your project management system and you have taken the time to onboard your clients, first thing I would recommend doing is setting the proper goals, objectives, and KPIs for your project. So for example, maybe your client's objective with redesigning their website is to increase more leads coming in through the website. That's pretty standard in the type of clients I work with, primarily professional service-based companies. Then you would want to set a goal. So perhaps 3 months after the website launch, you want to increase the leads by 50%. And then the way you would measure that is by using a KPI or key performance indicator that is going to essentially benchmark that. So in perhaps the past quarter of business, your client's company got 20 leads coming in through the main consultation form on the website. Then you would want to set a goal here where our goal is to increase the amount of leads coming in through that consultation form by 50%. And that's going to mean 30 leads total coming in over the next 3 months post website launch. Next, you want to actually define the target audience of the website. So this means actually sitting down and thinking about who is going to be using the website, because we want to take this information to ultimately design and develop a website, not just from a design perspective, but also from a copy and positioning and just overall marketing perspective to position the website, one, that's going to be uniquely differentiated from the competition, but two, that's going to resonate with the target audience. And you're probably going to have multiple different audience personas. So what I like to do here is use ChatGPT or whatever other AI LLM you're using. So I've actually been using Claude a lot recently, especially for copywriting. So I think that might actually be the best LLM AI agent tool on the market as of early 2025. Regardless, whatever tool you decide to use, I recommend you then look into the customer avatar canvas from Digital Marketer. This provides a very good framework for actually sitting down and thinking about your target persona. So the key areas here are going to be their demographics and interests, their key purchase indicators, their wants and aspirations, and their fears and frustrations. So this is what I like to map out and really think about as the main categories that I'm thinking about when creating these audience personas. And then based on what I get from the LLM, I will then put that into a Google Doc and then send that over to the client so that they can approve the direction. They'll probably add their own input as well. And then ultimately, once you develop this doc and align with it with your client, you're gonna be able to plug this back into the AI model you're using, and you're gonna be able to get much better copywriting results as well as just analysis in general on the project. Highly recommend. That is one of many AI tips we'll be talking about throughout the video today. Now, another key thing you want to get out of the way at the start of this project is you want to determine what platform is going to be used for building the website. Hopefully you have had discussions with this with your client previously, or at least hopefully even when they came to you, it's very clear based on your website, your personal brand, your company website, whatever. Hopefully it's clear what tool you're using. Honestly, I do recommend that the client should probably defer to you unless for whatever technical reasons they do have a tool that they are set on using. I use Webflow for all client builds. I find that it is the best, most professional tool for essentially designing anything possible on the web today. You can have lots of sleek interactions and effects. So it's really great for clients who are looking for that high performing marketing type website. And then also it does have all the other marketing capabilities and integrations you need to actually leverage it as a sales and lead generation tool for your client's business. If you're a designer that aspires to creating Webflow-like designs, however, you are maybe coming from a UI, UX background, I would look at Framer as a stopgap solution as you eventually progress and then eventually can get more into Webflow, which you'll need as your clients need a more demanding CMS. But Framer would be the tool I look to if I wasn't already able to use Webflow. Ultimately here, do your own research, talk to your clients, make your own conclusions, but you do want to have a very solid tool that you are comfortable working with at the start of the project. During this phase, I like to take the time to do a full technical and qualitative audit of my client's website as well as their brand. So what this looks like is I usually will run them through a strategy presentation and I will simply give them my honest observations about key elements of their brand as well as their website. Then I will give them what my recommendations would be and then what impact I believe this would have. Many clients know that their website is not performing well, which is why they reached out to you in the first place. But I like to give my clients a detailed explanation in terms of why their website is not helping them achieve their marketing and sales goals. And then this way they can have a complete thorough understanding of where they're currently at, which I believe is essential for them ultimately being able to get where they want to go. There's also a lot of research that needs to be done here. So first of all, I like to research my client's company and industry. One way I've started to do this is in the past I would read articles I'd find on Google. The way I like to do it these days is simply to start a chat with ChatGPT and ask it to give me a very solid overview of the client's industry. And then I will simply ask questions based on where my current knowledge stands in regards to their industry. This way, it's much more of a personalized tutor coming in to brief me on the client's industry and the market analysis at the time. When it comes to getting to know the client's business, I will actually set up a one-to-one meeting with the main client point of contact. It's about a 1-hour discovery call. And during this time, I have a series of questions prepared. And I simply am looking to learn more about their business, their clients, their competitors. You get the idea. I will record this meeting. And then from this is helpful because one, I don't need to take notes necessarily. And then two, I can get a transcript of the meeting. I can take their answers to these questions and I can give it back to ChatGPT. So again, it has more context on the project and the client. Finally, you need to research the client's competitors. So what I recommend simply doing is asking your client for a list of its top 5 or even top 10 competitors. This, in my view, is the most effective way to go about it. However, you should also do your own research on Google or asking ChatGPT for competitors as well. And then you want to also find competitors that you believe serve as a good inspiration for where you see the client's business and the design of their website, as well as all their other marketing collateral and positioning. One more final admin task before we get into the actual prep for the design work. But at this point, I always at the start of a project will request my client's login information for all the different accounts that we might be accessing. This way we get access to everything we need at the start. I simply send over a spreadsheet. This is important because you don't want to be asking the client for their DNS info right as you're about to go to launch the website, and then the client comes back to you and goes, actually, we have no idea where this is and we're completely locked out of the DNS. So I've actually been there, you don't want to be there. So I recommend getting all this information at the start, and then even if they're not able to find it, they have plenty of time to track it down. Next, you want to create a sitemap or at least finalize the sitemap. So this, depending on how the sales process went, you might already have a detailed sitemap for the website. I recommend this before I take on a client. They will see a outline sitemap, and so that is the agreed upon project scope. To wrap up the strategy phase, I will then hold a strategy meeting with my client. So this is like the longest meeting of the entire project. It's probably an hour and a half to 2 hours. We do it over Zoom unless the client is local here in Denver, so I can meet them in person. And then to conclude the strategy phase, I like to summarize all of my findings and then outline the strategy we will be pursuing, as well as briefing the clients on the sitemap and next steps going forward by putting together a presentation in Keynote and then having a 90 to 120 minute strategy session with the clients just to break down all the learnings so far, give them an overview of the competitive landscape, and then based on all these research and findings, present to them the strategy moving forward. This is very important because I find that it gets the client to buy into the entire process and trust you because they can see that you have been putting in the work. But then also it is critical because you're going to be able to get on the same page with them. Then once the client approves the strategy, then you can seamlessly move into the next phase, the fun phase, which is the design phase. Step number one in terms of the design phase is going to be to create a sitemap for the website. Now, you should probably have already outlined this with the client. The way I do this is that I list all the different deliverables that I'm going to be responsible for on the proposal. So they see on the proposal I send all the different pages I'm going to be building out as part of this project. And then this essentially serves as the sitemap. Then with those deliverables, I will then put it into the Rayloom AI site builder. This tool has been a total game changer for my web design projects. This is what I think saves me the most time, even more than ChatGPT or these other AI tools. Rayloom just saves me so much time here in the design and the development process. I've made videos in the past all about how I use Rayloom, so I will link that here above. But long story short, I put in the sitemap, so I put in the pages we're going to be developing. Then the AI tool will build out an entire content structure for each page. So you're going to be able to see what each section is. Think of it like a bullet point list. And then you can revise that, you can add more, you can remove some. And then from there, you can seamlessly have it build out the UX wireframes. So this has become the go-to design process for all of my different projects. Now, I would not recommend simply just giving it whatever it recommends, but I just use this as a starting point to get the project up and running quickly. And then based on my own expertise, as well as what I know about the clients and our marketing goals, from there, I will edit the website and the content structure in the direction I want to go in. So my current workflow involves editing the UX wireframes as much as possible in Rayloom to get them where I want to go. At this stage, I'm not worried about copy. Once I've got it in a very good spot, then I will export it into Figma. So this way the UX wireframes are already built out, but now I can use the full design suite of Figma to have complete and total control over the design direction going forward. Now, as the design phase starts, I would recommend creating a mood board. So I do this in Figma, and essentially you want to gather inspiration, not just from the competitors your clients provided you. Sometimes the competitors actually are pretty weak, so they're not going to provide great design inspiration depending on your industry. But I like to build out a mood board, and I'll go to websites like Lapa.ninja or Awards, and I will find inspiration websites. So both from companies that are in the client's industry, as well as from companies that are outside of the industry, because I find that sometimes that can be the best way to get inspiration for the project so that you're actually able to stand out from the other competitors online. And then I'll start putting in a mood board on Figma. So I'll screenshot the homepage, I'll add it to the mood board, and I will comment with a link directly to the website. And then I will also invite the client to check these inspiration examples out. So this way they can tell me what they like and what they don't like. I do find it helpful at the start of the design phase to send over some examples to the client. So this way you can get a good idea of what they like design-wise, and also equally important, what they don't like. This way you don't need to necessarily spend time creating something that you might think is totally cool, but just stylistically your client is not into that. As we have the UX wireframes developed, I will then finish out the initial layout in Figma, also using the Rayloom kit, which has all the different components and sections. This is huge because one, it's going to give you a consistent style guide, so you can make a lot of global edits to the website, but then also you're going to be able to eventually copy and paste these exact sections directly into Webflow. So this is what saves me so much time, is because the wireframes and the development in Webflow is all done with the Rayloom component library, as well as the style guide to making global changes site-wide. So having everything built out, already designed, already responsive, is fully integrated with the client-first system. This is what's saving me 20 to 30 hours versus when I was first getting started in the web design industry. As we were all building out all these sections manually. It was very time consuming. It was not efficient at all. The amount of progress has just been stunning, honestly, the past few years. Now, once the UX layout is complete, then I get to working on the copywriting of the website. So copywriting is huge because in my view, it is the design of the website that's going to draw people in, but ultimately it is the copy that is going to get them to take action and convert. So because of that, you cannot overlook the importance of copywriting when it comes to the overall marketing effectiveness of your website. I would recommend working with a professional copywriter if that's within the budget, but if it's not, I highly recommend you at least use Claude AI because this has quickly become my top copywriting tool. I think its outputs are significantly better at this point in time than ChatGPT. You do need to pay another $20 a month for this tool, and unfortunately it does have some usage limits, so that can make working with it a bit cumbersome, but overall the copywriting results are absolutely fantastic. I'm not the only person saying this. You do want to do some smart prompt engineering to get it even better results. That's why I recommend starting a project, uploading all the resources you collect and develop as part of the project so that it has more context. But yeah, Claude AI, total game changer, get on it. But even ChatGPT is going to be more than enough, I would say, to get you started with at least some decent copy. But like everything when it comes to AI, I don't recommend just letting the AI run wild and then you just accepting the results. You need to use your human intuition and expertise. I look at it as that I'm mainly using it to speed up the process, so I'm getting 10 different headline ideas and then I'm going to choose either the best one or one of them is going to give me an idea that I'm going to ultimately adapt into the final headline. So at this point, the UX wireframes and the layouts are already developed and the copy is already written. Then I like to send this over to the client. This is about a week after our initial strategy meeting. So this way they can have a clear picture of the entire layout and what all the copy is going to say. And then this way they can approve the wireframes and then you can move forward into the UI design phase. But this is very important because we want to nail down the layout, most importantly, and the content structure of every single page on the website during this UX design process. The copy can be edited later on. It's critically important that we have the layout of the website properly set at this time because as we now move into the UI design phase, which is going to be creating the overall graphical design of the website, we don't want to be going back and forth in terms of should we even have this section on the website. It's going to be much more efficient and much more streamlined if you know every single section each page is going to have, and then you just need to focus on the design versus worrying about it getting cut or scrapped later on. All right, so now we're in the back half of the design process. Then the key thing here is going to be the add UI design for the key pages of the website. Now, I don't recommend necessarily creating a UI design for every single page of the website because that is going to take a ton of time and a ton of resources. If the client is hiring you and maybe you work for an agency and they have the resources and that's what they want, they're willing to pay for it and you can accommodate the timeline, go for it. But ultimately, I have found in my experience, especially if you are a solopreneur or you have a small team, that it's not necessary at all to design every single page of the website fully mocked up. Rather, I would design the key pages. So send the initial homepage over and then schedule a feedback call with your client, then work on designing the rest of the UI pages and then send that to the client. Then they can provide you all of their feedback in one fell swoop and then you can revise accordingly. And then you also want to let the client know as you provide them these designs what level of revision number you're on and how many revisions are left, because you don't want to be sending these designs haphazardly and then it becomes impossible to check for the revisions and then you're going to be in a bad spot if you do that ultimately, because if the client keeps on requesting revisions, it's going to be very hard for you to put your foot down and tell them that you're over the scope of work. Finally, what I find essential to do in this process is that I never actually send over a wireframe to my client and let them look at it and give me their feedback. I always will send the wireframes along with a Loom style screen recording, and I will walk them through the design as if we were sitting together next to each other. I will walk them through the design, explain the rationale for everything that's done, and then give them my overall opinion on it. So basically they're getting a presentation along with the wireframes, and then this is going to give them a lot more context for the design, hopefully make them feel much more confident in you, and ultimately make for a much smoother design process where it's going to be much easier to get their approval on the website and help you move forward with the project. Pages, probably about 20% overall of the total website scope. So if it's going to be a 20-page website, design 4 or 5 mockups. This essentially will serve as the style guide, and then you can apply the same design language throughout the rest of the pages as you're building them in Webflow, which is the process I follow. I do recommend starting with the homepage here. This way the client has a very clear understanding of what that's going to look like. And then you can have a feedback call after designing the homepage. They can give you their feedback, what they like, what they don't like, and then you can take that into account, revise the homepage, and then apply that design to the remaining UI pages you need to create. All right, now I can't really help you design great wireframes from this video, but I do have a video linked up about what I believe are the most essential engaging elements of a website. But in no particular order, I'm gonna quickly run down the key areas you wanna focus on as you're creating these UI wireframes. Number one is gonna be color. So you wanna create a visually interesting and unique color scheme that fits your client's brand while also differentiating itself clearly from the competition. Second would be typography. So instead of using a standard Google font, use a custom Adobe font or some other custom font that's going to add much more design value in an elegant way to the website. Third would be imagery. So depending on the industry your client is in, the images are going to be more or less important, but hopefully your client is able to provide you with high quality, professionally shot photography, as that is going to make a huge difference in terms of adding a high quality look and feel to the website. One thing you definitely don't want to overlook are going to be textures. So textures are a great way to add more design value and visual interest to the website and just have it stand out while also adding a much more premium feel. So this is something you're certainly not going to see on every website, but if your clients are paying you a premium project value, then this is something I would definitely look to integrate because it's going to really help your clients stand out from the competition. Now, if you're able to do custom graphics, that's great. Maybe you're an illustrator or you have experience with that. You can also use AI tools like Midjourney to create graphics or icons as well. I am finding that is a great use of generative AI at the moment. Finally, instead of having generic buttons that look like every other website's buttons, have unique, visually interesting buttons. Maybe this means having an arrow, maybe this means having a cool hover effect. Whatever it is, buttons are a great way to stand out and add an interactive effect to the website. This is also key because buttons are generally how people are going to convert. So by having cool buttons, you can increase the effectiveness of your CTAs throughout the website. Also, interactions and effects are a great way to add a premium value to the website. I find this especially important if you're going for a bit more of a minimalist design and you want to add more visual interest. Having things animate in and having interactions sprinkled out throughout the website is going to really just take the total feel of the website up a significant amount. And then finally, while I did talk about all these different things you can add to the design of the website, don't be afraid to embrace the white space, to embrace the empty negative space, and just let the design breathe. And also don't feel like you need to cram everything in here. Sometimes simple and elegant is what you're looking for. Before we wrap up the design phase, I need to touch on the revision process. I would look to send all these deliverables in batches. All right, real quick, if you're enjoying this video and you're getting a lot of value out of it and you have a potential website build you are considering for your company and you would like my opinion on it, then you can feel free to reach out to schedule a free consultation with me. Now, during this meeting, it is very much a meeting of the minds. I will take the time to learn more about your company, its services, the types of clients it works with, and based on all my learnings, help you outline a website and digital marketing game plan so that your company can achieve its marketing and sales goals. If that sounds interesting to you, I'm going to link my email in the description. Feel free to reach out to me. Let me know a little bit about your project. And if I think you'll be a good fit, I will send you a link to my calendar so that you can book time directly with me. So now it's on to the development phase. What I like to tell clients here is that at this point, we've been working together very closely in the research and strategy phase, as well as the design phase. But now here in the development phase, it is on me and my team, whoever I'm working with, to get the project developed in as reasonable a time frame as possible. In this phase, it's very hands-off for the client. All they're going to be doing is providing their final feedback in the form of a markup program, and then ultimately approving the site and giving us the green light to go ahead and launching it. So once the design is completed, I get started right away building the website in Webflow. So this means building out all the pages, exporting them from Figma, and then importing them via the Rayloom extension, the app within Webflow, which lets you basically import the sitemap right away. Then I will set the entire style guide. So I will copy over the color scheme we're gonna be using, the fonts, the spacing, spacing, the button styles, you get the idea. This can all be done within the main style guide that comes with the clonable Rayloom/client first project in Webflow. And then recently I've begun following this entire highly detailed Notion checklist from the agency Flow Gurus, which I got as part of being a member of the Webflow Masterclass by Flux Academy. This checklist has been a huge resource for me because it just helps me stay on top of everything that needs to be done and basically just gives me an entire SOP for building out the website in Webflow, making sure everything is taken care of. This is just a huge time saver, so I highly recommend this SOP type checklist. I will link it in the description if you want to learn more. Again, if you're in the Webflow Masterclass, you get it for free, but otherwise I do believe you can pay for it separately via Flow Gurus. As I'm building out the website, I am constantly going through this checklist, checking off items, adding new items for all the different deliverables we're working on, and this is really my guide for ensuring a smooth and efficient Webflow build. Along with the Rayloom component library, as well as just the way Webflow works, this is what allows me to efficiently build out client projects. So these days, I'm able to build out a website in probably about 20 to 30-ish hours, whereas before Rayloom and all these other tools I was using, it was probably about double that, honestly. And back in the days when I was using WordPress, forget about it. It was just insane. I don't even want to think about how many hours it took me to build those websites. All right, now once you actually build out the pages of the website, then it is time to move on to the CMS build out. So with Webflow, you need to build out a custom bespoke CMS for all the different collection areas you're going to have. So if this is the content items like blog posts or video posts or podcasts, or maybe it's other content items throughout the website like job postings, team members, portfolio projects, you get the idea. The way I track this is that in Basecamp, I have a task for every single collection list that needs to be created. And then I have a task where I'll sit down and map out, this is another thing I'll use ChatGPT for to quickly brainstorm all the different collection fields we're gonna need within each collection list. So then I will then build that out within the Webflow CMS, and then I will connect the data dynamically where we need to within the Webflow page builder. If your client is coming from an existing CMS and they already have content that they want to be imported into the website, this is the step where you would then import that content directly using the Webflow importer, and then you would map all the different content areas into the specific CMS fields where they belong. By this point, the design is pretty much developed. Then what I will do is I will go through and make sure every single page is responsive and that the design is finalized per page. I'll also do things like making sure all the button links work, all the forms work, etc. Then I will send a markup.io link to my clients. So essentially what this does is this adds Figma-like comment functionality to the website. So they're able to go through the entire website and leave comments where they want subtle changes being made. And this is very helpful in my experience because one, as they leave a comment, we can then start a comment thread to discuss a specific edit if necessary, and then you can check them off so you're able to keep track of your progress. This, in my view, is much more efficient than what I was doing previously, which was having a Google Doc where they would just bullet point all of their changes requested. But then this was just hard for having back and forth conversations, and for sometimes I wouldn't see what they're referencing necessarily. So markup.io has significantly streamlined the final round of edits necessary to make before the website can go live. Also, do note, as development starts, I send my client the live Webflow staging link, and this way they're able to check into development whenever they want, while I do also provide 1 to 2 updates per week based on the progress of the development so far. But I do giving my clients full transparency, so with the staging link, they're able to log in and see all the progress as it's being made, which I find keeps them pretty happy. Now, as my clients are going through and leaving their comments, this is generally where I'll take the time to optimize the speed of the website. So fortunately, using Webflow, quite honestly, it outputs just such clean code that there's not a whole lot you need to do, especially when you take into account the fact that it's hosted by AWS. But this is a time where I'll take to compress all the images, turn off animations or interactions on tablet and mobile devices, minify the code, and just remove any extra unnecessary styles or scripts that have not made it into the final design of the site. All right, so then the client will give me their final round of feedback. I will make all the edits, and then it is time to get started with quality assurance. So once the client has provided all of their feedback and I've made all the edits, then we are essentially good for launch. But before we go through with the entire launch process, the phase that comes before that is going to be the quality assurance and testing phase. This is critical because we cannot go live with the website with some sort of glaring oversight that's going to potentially harm the client's brand. We also don't want to get into a situation where we launch the website, we're very excited, we're very happy to get the project done, but then as people start going through it, whether within the company or their clients or customers or just the general public, they start noticing issues, they send that to the client, that creates a very bad situation. So we want to take the time to get rid of all these bugs and any design issues or technical issues before the site goes live. The main way I do this is that I will run a total technical audit on the new site domain to identify any technical issues that are not going to be clearly visible to the naked human eye. So this one step dramatically helps improve the technical efficiency necessary before we go live with the new website. Then we're also going to want to spell check the website. So I literally will open up a Grammarly doc, I'll copy and paste all the copy into the website, and then I'll just make sure everything is grammatically correct. Typos is going to be one of the most unprofessional things a client can find in the finished website, so you definitely want to make sure you're on top of that. Next, I will add all redirects we're going to need into Webflow. So I'll create a spreadsheet of the old URLs and then point them to the new URLs and then upload this into Webflow. Pretty seamless. Next, we're going to test all the buttons and the links throughout the website. We want to do this manually, but do note that the SE ranking site audit tool I have will find these issues for you and alert them to you accordingly. Now, one of the most important steps here is going to ensure that the website is mobile responsive and looks great no matter what device is being viewed on. First of all, I did go already in Webflow at this point in time and then made all the responsive changes for each breakpoint we have in the project. So at this point, the website should essentially be 95% responsive. However, things don't always appear online as they do in the Webflow designer. Now, I like to use a tool called Responsively because basically I'm able to get all the different breakpoints and different screen sizes for the most popular tablet and mobile devices, Android and Apple, on the market. And then I'm able to add in the URL for each page, and then I'm able to view the page, the design on each different device. Again, it is a rendering, but it gives you a very good idea. And this is just the most efficient way, in my view, to make all the final responsive edits to the website. Of course, if you do have Android or different Apple devices lying around, this is a time where you, of course, would want to pull them up there and do a manual check as well, which is, of course, what I also do. I recommend having a task list for all these different items here in Basecamp, so it's very easy to just cross it off as you're done. Once you are done with the final QA steps here, then you are good to go to launch the website, pending your client giving you final approval. So I recommend talking to your client and sitting down and outlining what's going to be the best time for the two of you to launch the website. One piece of advice I will give you here is that you do not want to be launching the website on a Friday or on a weekend, of course. Now, I say this because sometimes in agency work, it's very common to launch the website on a Friday because you've been spending the entire week getting your website ready, and now you're ready to launch on Friday. The problem with launching on a Friday is that if you run into any issues, which is certainly not unheard of, although they can be mitigated against, sometimes it's just going to be completely out of your control, however, and then you get into a situation where people need to work late, they might need to work on the weekends, client is probably not going to be available on the weekends or certainly doesn't want to be. Now we're on to the launch process, and again, just like every other phase of this project, I have an entire task list in Basecamp, which I use to keep track of all the different tasks that need to get done here. So first things first, I like to actually let the team or the client know in this case that the launch process has started and that they should expect some downtime, but hopefully the website will be live shortly. Now, before you go about making any DNS changes, one, I always like to take a backup, if possible, of the current website. So depending on what it's built on, this may or may not be possible, but if it is possible, I highly recommend you do this. And then also do note that I will also go ahead and screenshot all key pages of the website. This way, in case there's anything we need to refer back to, especially if you're not able to get a backup, this can be super, super helpful down the line. Next, I make the DNS changes as Webflow directs me. So this, again, obviously includes getting access to your client's DNS, which hopefully you got at the start of the project. And now we need to take it live by changing around a few records. This is not a technical video by any stretch of the imagination, but once you get the hang of this, it is a little scary in the first place, I will not lie. But once you get the hang of it, it should be pretty straightforward. Then once the website is live on the new domain, in my experience with Webflow, it's usually pretty seamless. So like within an hour or so, sometimes even instantly, you'll begin to see the new website. I will then run another technical audit on the website using the same SE ranking technical site audit tool. This way I'm able to see if there's any bugs or any technical errors that have occurred when taking a new website live. Usually this does not happen, but better safe than sorry, so you should run the technical scan. Then I will also review the website on my desktop, different browsers. I'll review it on my phone and tablet. Again, we just want to make sure that the design is responsive across all devices and make any changes we need to. I'll then also run another site scan to ensure that there's no broken links or any redirect chains. Then I'll do some more admin analytics type stuff. I will submit the new sitemap to Google Search Console. I will ensure the analytics are working correctly. I'll ensure using Google Tag Manager that all the other scripts we need on the website are active and running. I'll also go into the analytics software and block the client's IP address as well as my own home IP address. This way, we're getting accurate traffic metrics. And then ultimately, when that's done, I'll ensure backups are configured on this new website within Webflow. The way I handle the go live transfer process here is that I will create a Webflow account for my client if they don't already have one. I will then transfer the website to them, and then I will help them or on their behalf purchase the site plan we need. And then this way, they own the website. And then after that, I will invite myself to their workspace. So that way I'm still able to access the website and do all the technical things I need to do. But in that case, it's already going to be in the client's ownership. And so that way I feel that that is the best, most direct way to go about things. But yeah, and then otherwise, once that is done, the website is live. So that is a very exciting time, obviously. That essentially concludes the project until the offboarding phase, which I'll touch on briefly at the end here. But once I've gone through all this and I can see that the website is up and running and everything looks fine on my end, I have them confirm, and then I ask them if they need anything else from me. Usually it's no, usually everything looks great because we followed this entire process to a T at this point. Everything is buttoned up, everything is smooth, everything is efficient, and generally the client is pretty excited at this point. The website is live, the project is essentially done, and we're all happy. Before wrapping up here, let's talk a little bit about what the offboarding process looks like. So just the way we onboarded the client at the start of the project to ensure a smooth process, we now want to offboard them so that they have all the resources they need to manage and maintain the website, and we're also going to be positioning ourselves for future work here. So a couple key things I like to do at this point in time are to, one, record screen tutorial videos of how to make basic updates to the website, such as swapping out images, updating copy, you get the idea, as well as how to manage the CMS, so editing content and creating new content within the CMS. So again, here I will record a Loom style video, basically a screen recording presentation. They can see my face, it's very personal, and then I just walk them through exactly how to use the website, how to navigate the Webflow dashboard, basically everything they're going to need based on what I understand about their needs in order to manage and maintain the website effectively. I tell all my clients this effectively serves as like a video user manual for the website so that they're able to get the most out of it going forward. Once I'm done recording those videos, in the message I send all those videos, I will also send them a link to my calendar so they can schedule an official offboarding meeting with me. This is just one last meeting to answer any questions they have, review the process, and then ask them if they're interested in doing further marketing work or perhaps doing more work on the website in terms of a phase 2 build. Otherwise, once that meeting is concluded, I will then send them a link to provide a testimonial to myself. This is something I highly recommend you add as part of your offboarding SOP because you want to get testimonials from your clients right as the project is being wrapped up and it's fresh in their mind so that they can provide you with the best testimonial possible. And also, if you don't do this, otherwise you're gonna end up reaching out to them like years down the line when you do need more testimonials, and then it's just not gonna be as fresh in their minds and you're just not gonna be as much of a priority if you haven't been maintaining that relationship. Finally, I will send a quick feedback form via Bonsai just to get their feedback on their experience working with me and any potential ways I can improve. And then last but certainly not least, I will inquire if they're interested in either a website management agreement so that they can keep me on retainer and then I can be available to help them with basic website updates as they need, or if they're interested in doing, like I said, a phase 2 build or a marketing retainer. So it's very important to have a strong offboarding process so that you can position yourself for future work, as well as getting referrals from your clients, either people they know or people they do business with. All right, guys, so that's the video. I hope you got a lot out of it. I hope this has really served as like a mini masterclass in terms of how you should be approaching the web design process in your business, whether it's a freelance consultancy or a bona fide agency. Because I will tell you, putting together this process involved years of experience, it involved years of watching courses from the industry's top experts and distilling everything down into something that works for me and my clients. Obviously, it might change, your mileage may vary. Obviously, you should feel free to use this as just an inspirational starting point and then adapt the process to your client specific needs and the types of work you want to be doing ultimately. But I can tell you, if you implement this process, or at least 80% of it, you're going to be far ahead of the vast amount of freelancers and even agencies who are simply flying by the seat of their pants. They're way too overloaded to take the time to actually sit down and nail down this process. And ultimately, by doing that, you're gonna stand out from the competition. You're gonna be able to dramatically increase your per project profitability. You're gonna be able to take on more projects to help you generate more revenue. Your clients are going to be thrilled by the experience that you're able to offer. And ultimately, you're gonna be making more money, having more fun in your day-to-day work, and being far less stressed about everything. So honestly, it is just such a win-win. You really can't go wrong by sitting down and outlining a standardized process that you run all web design projects through. Now, if you have any questions or comments on the process, feel free to leave one and I'll be happy to get back to any well-intentioned comment when I have the time. If there's any topics that intrigued you that I touched on in this video, feel free to let me know. Maybe I'll put together a full video on that. Otherwise, subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be putting out more info, talking head videos like this, all about how to run a better web design business. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video because every single week I'm coming out with a new video, trying to be as creative as possible with it. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. This was a long one, but if you're still watching at this point, it means the world to me. Thank you. I will see you in the next one. Take it easy. Bye.